Welcome everyone to Spoiler Warning, featuring myself, Tom Colohue. This is your home of wrestling news, and we will be covering all the questions that you have, plus the main headlines are as regards the impending or not clearance of Randy Orton, who's been blocking a DIY reunion since June 19th. We're talking about the new contract for Kevin Nash, the situation with Matt Riddle and how he's being considered untrustworthy, and one of the reasons that he was fired from the company, the new deal for Kevin Nash, which also includes the likeness of NWO, WWE renewing hostilities with AEW, particularly as regards Edge, Edge's position on the card for AEW and how so far not a clear sign of a draw, Hogan lying as usual, and then a little bit about the videos that I've been putting out recently. I want your help to decide what my next one should be of a certain style that just came out and was very, very successful. I have some ideas that I'd like to put forward for you all to check out. So, I will, of course, as usual, be answering all of your questions as well. Say hi in the chat, drop a like. We're on 19 so far. In about 3 minutes' time, based on the last video, we had 25. If we can reach that, we just need now an extra 5 to get there in 3 minutes. I think that's doable. So to start with then, our top story is as regards Randy Orton and his likelihood of being cleared to wrestle. Now, this actually goes into quite a lot of depth and details a lot of what has been going on with Edge as well. One of the reasons Edge was let go by the WWE with a lowball offer that they were confident he would not agree to was, to put it simply, that they didn't feel he was needed any further. Now, in addition to not feeling that they needed him any further, there are a number of wrestlers who made big returns to the WWE from significant injuries who are no longer with the WWE. 3 names that jump to mind are, of course, Edge, Daniel Bryan, now Bryan Danielson in AEW, and Paige, now Saraya in AEW. Edge, of course, now Adam Copeland. These 3 wrestlers were brought back after significant injuries after not actually being cleared by WWE doctors. The doctors were supposedly overwritten and overruled by Vince McMahon. The WWE, particularly in this instance Triple H, is not believed to be particularly comfortable with the idea of using wrestlers who are at risk in the same way that these wrestlers are, and as such, Edge was not considered to be particularly valuable. Randy Orton, unfortunately, has now entered this field. Big E is not believed to be considered in this camp. He is believed to be someone who, once recovered, will be able to get back onto it. However, this is an area that's still being considered. The WWE are planning to listen to their doctors a little more firmly from here on out, and this does mean that people like Randy Orton, who are currently in the efforts of recovery to try and return to the WWE, have an extra few hurdles to leap. Vince McMahon being in charge means that there is very little actual interest in bringing people back who have serious injuries. The connection to, which of course with the new company, the connection to the UFC also precludes them from being able to bring people back from long-term injuries. And this means that at the moment, Randy Orton, who is currently in discussion with WWE about return, with creative ideas being pitched, may be left out in the cold for a while longer. Four minutes in, this time on Monday, we had 25 likes. We right now have 32. We're hitting records, people. Records. For that first 5-minute or so bit, that is a record for the amount of likes that we've had. We're currently on 33, 2 more guesses to 35. Please do continue doing so. If you've not yet hit like, by all means, please do. So that is the Randy Orton news. There is still going to be news on Matt Riddle, Kevin Nash, WWE versus AEW, Cena, Reigns and Dave Meltzer, Vince McMahon and DIY, Hulk Hogan telling a few lies, and Edge arriving in AEW. But I'll take this opportunity to start saying hi to so many of you. There was a really lively chat on YouTube before we actually went live, and I want to say a big thanks to everyone who was there for that, but also a big thanks to everyone who's already here. Spider-Boss is asking, if WWE doesn't have any plans for the women's tag team titles, why not get rid of those titles? There is a reason for this. They did have plans for the titles. However, every time they make a plan, someone gets injured or someone wants to leave. Michael says, hi Tim. Hello Miguel. Billy says, hello Tom. Marcel says, hi Tom and chat, how are you all? Doing well, thank you Marcel, welcome to the show. Squid is here saying hey guys as well. There is a lot of chat before that, so I'm going to catch up on some of that. Carmelina says, do you think we'll see Jimmy and Jay interact? I suspect we may, but it'll be like two ships passing in the night. Roger says, I'm more looking forward to seeing Impact than Fastlane. Certainly that's your opinion and you're entitled to that. Eric says, hi, how are you, Tom? Doing very well, thank you, Eric. Welcome to the show. Joey says, hey, Tom, Nick Hausman and Meltzer reporting. More on that shortly. I haven't actually got anything specifically on CM Punk, but let me catch up with the chat a little bit and I will get to it. Matthew Johnson says, evening, Tom and chat. Happy Friday. Hope everyone is well. Stuart is here as well saying, evening all. Welcome, Stuart. Juan Osco says, hey Tom, Dave Meltzer confirmed your report on Mercedes money to AEW. Dave Meltzer is confirming a lot of my reports recently and is really starting to stand out. Spider-Boss says, according to Wrestling Observer newsletter, Mercedes Money's timetable schedule for return isn't clear, but she's expected to appear in AEW and New Japan. My biggest video on YouTube, encompassing more than 12,000 views, was me reporting exactly that news about a month ago. Hello, Razar, how are you? Welcome, Brad. Joey says, PWInsider reported Undertaker will be in Orlando next weekend. Do you think we see him in NXT? I think if they need him, they may pull that trigger, but I don't think he'll make any sort of actual wrestling intervention. Bob says, hi, welcome, Bob. David Leary says, Tom, I see Ringside News confirmed your report on Punk. A lot of things that are happening right now are confirming what I reported on Sunday for CM Punk. Now, there were a lot of people asking questions, which I think is fair, about whether or not CM Punk had actually openly said he wants to return to WWE. That was the news that I had received, and I made it clear as my interpretation at the beginning of the video based on information that I had. We are now seeing other people report exactly what I'd already reported, once again, with no mention. Dom says, don't forget to hit the like button, and we have two words for you, TikTok. I'd imagine that's a TikTok for Karrion Kross, not a TikTok as in scroll. Parrish is in the hospital. Good reasons. Good to know. Good to know. I'll be seeing you Sunday, of course. 23 Fresh says CM Punk coming at Survivor Series. Let me catch up and I will get to that. Also says, will MJF be at the Royal Rumble 2024? No. Spider-Boss said, do you guys think Meltzer and SRS may copy-paste from what Tom reports about Mercedes? I don't think they copy and paste so much because they can't. They have to actually watch the video. Pete says, how do Chat and Tom, hope you've all had a good week. Back at work tonight, so could be at the watch along. Hope to see you there, mate. Obviously, if you can't make it, that's absolutely understandable, but I hope to see you there. What up, KJ? How you doing? Zane says, Mickey James versus Trinity will be a banger, a bound for glory. Chris says, good evening, Tom. Good evening, Chris. Pete says, I think my other channel was botted for some reason. Well, it happens sometimes, unfortunately. Joey says, do you see NXT beating AEW in the ratings? More on that shortly. The dude says, hi Tom and chat. Happy Friday. Happy Friday, the dude. Welcome. Blue says, what's up, Tom? Nothing much, Blue. What's up with you? Devon says, Mercedes Money is out of her walking boot. Certainly she was for a number of pictures. She's not believed to be likely to be debuting until early next year. 23 says, did Hogan and Nash sign with the WWE? No. Michael says, Mr. Hausman is really trying to get Punk back into the WWE. I really do appreciate sometimes when I report something and then people seem to be bending over backwards to prove it true. I think that you can all understand the reason that I use House of Wrestling as my source for a lot of what I was mentioning in that one. Alright, that's how you doing. Camo God says, Randy return block sounds disappointing. I wouldn't want him to return on account of his well-being. I will reiterate that report as we get later into the show and as I start to get through the rest, but that is in the first 4 minutes or so. John says, good evening, Tom and chat. Hope you're all good. Can't believe a year ago this weekend that the great Bray Wyatt returned. A reminder to myself and others that life is short. Enjoy it. Very well put, Jordan. Appreciate that. Razar says, what do you think about all CM Punk news? More on that very shortly. As soon as I've caught up with the chat, we will talk CM Punk. I am flying through it. We do have 42 likes so far. As we are 1 minute away from 10 minutes past, can we get 3 more to get to 45, which would be a new record in the first 10 minutes. Chris says, I'm thinking Taker will be there to help the students in the PC. He's not technically there for wrestling at all, but the WWE may ask him to come in regardless. The user says, hey mate, how you doing, mate? Spider-Boss says, I get it's the year of the Judgment Day, but it didn't make sense. Dominic Mysterio winning the North American title again. They are booking it kind of as they go along with this one, particularly with Mustafa Ali out of the picture. We've immediately hit 45 likes. Thank you so much for that. Very much appreciate it. And we've gone beyond that to 47. 3 more, guys. 3 more. But when it comes to Judgment Day, it is the year of Judgment Day. They're trying to make sure everyone has the gold. But essentially, other plans have fallen through and the WWE decided, give it all to Judgment Day. And it's working. Wiggly says, yo, yip, yo, 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 yo. Welcome, mate. Noob says, hello, Tom. How you doing today? Doing well, thank you. And Pete is bringing the tables. 4-3 says, per Wrestling Observer newsletter, thank you as always for sourcing. Dragon Lee did so well with Dominic that it looks like he's now on the main roster. I suspect he may be working with Rey Mysterio and Santos Escobar against Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits. Dad says, who will get more on Tuesday? More on that shortly. The other Mike says, is this the reason why they're also taking their time with Big E? Yes, it is. They've not yet decided as to their approach. He still has a lot to unfortunately push through as regards physio and other things like that. But they are taking their time, even though he has been seen pretty much moving as expected, regularly as you can possibly get. They are going to be protective of him, and I don't blame them for that. The dude says a certain NFL veteran / WWE superstar dropped a hint on his show today that he may be at Fastlane in Indianapolis tomorrow. Joey says Meltzer's reporting Dragon Lee was secretly called up to the main roster. Did you hear anything on this? I didn't hear anything, but I did see that he was on the show, so that's quite telling. Daniela says only 5 matches at Fastlane, bit of a short card to me, unless something gets added on SmackDown tonight. I suspect something will get added, even if it's something relatively small. They've announced a number of wrestlers, but certainly I'd be leaning towards the possibility of a Drew McIntyre coming and the like. Hey Mark, how you doing, man? Nice to see you. King Azza says, hey Tom, reported by Sportskeeda. Sportskeeda took the report from Dave Meltzer. I will be touching on that later. Please do remember to follow the source. Sportskeeda themselves very rarely actually report news. Spiderboss says, do you think the interactions between Jey Uso and the Judgment Day lead to some tension in the Judgment Day, especially Rhea being mad with Dominic? Not necessarily. I don't think Jey Uso at any point will actually be directly involved with Judgment Day. They'll be keeping a bit of a distance there. Cheers, Camo. Blue says, do you think they'll add one more match? Yes, I do. Joe says, hey Tom, how you doing today? Love the Fastlane thing you did with Nick. Very interesting, and I love everything you do. Thank you kindly, I appreciate that. For those not aware, we did a live Nick and Tom's Intercontinental Adventure on Wednesday. We are planning to do a lot more of those, though to be blunt, they may be on a different channel. Joey says, do you know who fills in the 4th slot for Bobby's group against the LWO? No, I don't believe there'll be a 4th slot. I think they'll pull someone from the 4th slot for LWO and actually only have 3 of them. Spiderboss says, I think the more WWE overexpose the Judgment Day, putting them in all shows, in some point fans may get tired of the Judgment Day. Next year will not be the year of the Judgment Day. They will already have been built up as much as they want with them. KJ says, are you enjoying Twitter exploding over NXT stacking the deck? I don't see the problem with what WWE did. I think they just don't want to lose on their own night, but they may have overdid it. Daz is going to see wrestling again in November. Cool, I'm going to see wrestling again tonight, live in my SmackDown watch-along, which you can watch right here on the Tom Colohue channel. Noob says, Asuka got 3 matches starting tonight, then on Fastlane and against Roxanne Perez on Tuesday night. Seems like a lucky week for Asuka. They are essentially trying to promise you that she's going to be looked after. Good evening, Eric. Nice to see you. Camo says Grayson Waller affected McIntyre. I do think we'll see McIntyre on SmackDown tonight, but that's not a report. That's just what I think. King Azza says, do you think Jade will be at Fastlane? Jade has been in a lot of WWE shows recently, so I would expect to see her pop up. KJ says, what's up with Steve Carrier from RSN reporting things on Twitter all of a sudden? Is he ever even right? More on that shortly. Roger says, what's the best show, Raw or SmackDown? I watch Raw at a pace because I watch it after the fact, meaning that there are no commercial breaks. With that in mind, it feels incredible, but I watch SmackDown with friends. That's you guys. Michael says, do you think Mercedes could still debut sometime this year, even in a non-wrestling capacity? Full Gear would be great and hold off in a match for a month or 2. They certainly could do that if they feel they need the drawing power of her appearances. That said, when it comes to Mercedes money, I'm not sure immediately who she would want to be working with. And given that she only wants to work part-time, I find it unlikely she'd be able to commit to something major. Spiderboss says, Christine Cage is a menace on the mic. The dead father jokes have been funny. Bailey says, the future Becky Lynch versus Lyra Valkyria feud is a star-making vehicle. That is the plan for Becky Lynch in NXT at the moment. She is to wrestle against a number of different people in successful defenses, have a considerable streak with the championship. It should play out extremely similarly to what they were planning to do with Charlotte way back when, before they pulled out. Joey says, PWInsider reported Jade Cargill is expected to start on Raw. Do you know why they're fast-tracking her to the main roster? If they are fast-tracking her, it's simply because they believe in her, which I kind of get. Cheers, Pete. I'm glad you spotted that. Fresh says, is there a wrestler that is misunderstood in the business? There's quite a few, to be honest. I'd say AJ genuinely believes in lizard people. Kind of maybe suspected a Scientologist. The user says, I'm hopefully going to Mania next year, so there's my wrestling. One says, Mercedes Money vs. Paige Part 2 coming soon, over 7 years. Yes, indeed. King Azza says, do you think there'll be a cash-in at Fastlane? I do not. KJ says, Steve Carey said Austin isn't returning to the ring. Whoever said he was? Daniela says, I was thinking Rhea defending in Fatal 4-Way versus Raquel versus Nia versus Shayna. Seeing as the way Raw started this week, looks like Rhea will be feuding with multiple wrestlers. Only Rhea seems likely to actually appear on SmackDown tonight. And Spider-Boss says, NXT crowd is weird. Roxanne Perez got booed this past Tuesday. Pete says, I don't know who MJF was fighting at WrestleDream, but I haven't laughed so much. Howie says, Fast Track and Cole put pressure and heat on AEW. Nope, no it will not. I find it very unlikely there'll be any actual heat on AEW. They'll just be using who they've got. The use of Cody Rhodes has certainly not negatively impacted AEW beyond losing him, so I wouldn't go that far. Dylan says, hello everyone. Hello Dylan. And Spider-Boss says, do you think Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso win the tag team titles at Fastlane? Nope. Roger says, do you think Shinsuke Nakamura will beat Seth Rollins? Nope. More on that soon. KJ. Custom says, who do you think has the best theme song in wrestling right now? There's a number that I bop to. I really like Asuka's. I really like Becky's. I also really like Jey Uso's. But it's probably Cody Rhodes, let's be fair. Especially now that Edge is gone. I promised once I caught up with the chat that we would talk about CM Punk. I know you're all dying to ask the question. So what's going on with CM Punk? So, there have been two main reports that have stoked the fires of CM Punk returning at Survivor Series. Let me tell you who they came from. Firstly, Dave Meltzer. Dave Meltzer reported that there are ongoing conversations about CM Punk. The idea is that they are negotiating, but Dave Meltzer doesn't say that. He doesn't say that at all. When it comes to CM Punk right now, I reported on Sunday that he is trying to engineer a return to the WWE using wrestling media. And today, Dave Meltzer reported CM Punk is trying to engineer a return to the WWE. Somebody else then reported, you may know the name when I mention it, somebody else then reported that it's basically a lock that CM Punk will return at Survivor Series. I'm paraphrasing. Guess who reported about CM Punk, who wants to go back to the WWE, going back to the WWE? I'll give you a guess. I'll give you a guess. You all get one guess. There are 74 of you. You all get one guess for who is reporting on CM Punk going to the WWE. I'm going to catch up with the rest of the chat. I'm going to see what you suggest, but you get one guess for who is reporting that it's going to happen. And I'm going to be blunt. I will know immediately if you watch the video on Sunday based on your response. Appreciate that, Howie. Joey says, do you think NXT could be serious competition for AEW in the ratings war? More on that shortly. Brad, that is an opinion of mine that I hold. I'm not making any report on that one. KJ, do you think? Do you think? Ooh. King Adler says, if Cody doesn't face Roman at WrestleMania, who does he face? Maybe CM Punk, apparently. Chris suggests zero news. It is not, but I get where you're coming from. Roger says, MJF and Adam Cole are the best things in AEW. I agree with that. Daniela says NXT Halloween Havoc is starting in a few weeks for 2 nights. Hopefully they build to a good card. Casket match, Wheel of Fortune match, or any other Halloween themed matches, which they've done in the past. KJ chants CM Punk. Mick Moon says CM Punk in talks for WWE return. The potential of Punk return to the company was addressed by Dave Meltzer in the Wrestling Observer newsletter. Thank you, Mick, 1 for bringing that in, and 2 for sourcing it. We always appreciate that. Daniel Berry says, yo, and then we get to the point. Where people are saying who's reported it. The report that CM Punk is basically a lock, again paraphrasing, to turn up at Survivor Series and join the WWE. Brad says House of Wrestling. Eric says House of Wrestling. It was House of Wrestling. John says Zero News, House of Wrestling. Daz says Ross Sapp, House of Wrestling. Orozco says Nick Hausman. KJ says Nick Hausman. Spiderboss says House of Wrestling, Nick Hausman. Big Moon thinks Zero News. King Azza Zero News. It was House of Wrestling. Bailey says House of Wrestling. Daniela thinks Zero News. Jason says you reported. I remember clearly. To be clear, what I've reported was that CM Punk wants to return to the WWE, but the WWE are not as interested as he is. The dude says House of Wrestling, aka the Second City Source. That initially started out as a joke, but it's becoming an actual thing, isn't it? It's becoming a thing. David Leary says Hausman. Stuart Ridley says Hausman. Blue says Colt Cabana. Nicely played. Howie says Nick Hausman. Pardon me. Joey says CM Punk informant Nick Hausman. Leon says Nick Hausman. Roger Sims says House of Wrestling is reporting CM Punk returning to WWE. Joe says Nick Hausman. That's my guess as well. Michael says House of Wrestling. Q43 says Nick Hausman of House of Wrestling. Mustafa says, hey bud. Hey Mustafa, how you doing, mate? Eric says Nick Hausman of House of Wrestling. Do I need to say more on that particular report, given that I've literally been covering it the entire time, telling you what is going to happen and who is going to be the one that it is happening to and with? Ugh. For anyone who thought it was Zero News or any other variation, I strongly suggest, because I'm really proud of the video, that you check out the CM Punk video. I'm extremely proud of it. It's a very different style to what I'm used to, but I'm very, very happy with what I've been able to achieve there. And it tells you everything you need to know about CM Punk, to the point that I feel if you watch that video, you didn't even want to ask about the news coming out for CM Punk today, because all it does is confirm what has already been reported. Spiderboss says, we still don't know who ambushed Jay White. Joey says, BWE's been teasing a lot of CM Punk news too. Yes, because it's CM Punk, and you will get clicks from CM Punk, so people keep dropping it. I basically spent Sunday working on Rumour Killers, and still somehow got a lot of heat for clickbait. I reported something that was going to happen. A couple of days later, what happened? Razar says, I really don't want to see CM Punk back in WWE. There's a whole lot of NXT stars ready for that call-up I'd rather see in that spot. Chris said, I speculated on Punk return being a Survivor Series on one of the shows I host at OLE, but never reported as fact. Joey says, do you know if there were any actual convos with Punk and WWE, or is this all being made up by Nick Hausman? I'm not going to accuse anyone of making anything up. I'm going to be very clear there. Also, Nick Hausman has not at any point said that any conversations took place between CM Punk and WWE. Dave Meltzer reported that. I want to be very clear. While I am certainly highlighting Nick Hausman's reporting and how it very much revolves consistently around CM Punk, I do want to be very clear, Nick Hausman did not report that there have been conversations with WWE. Wiggly suggests GB News. Barnaboss said, at this point, who do you see beating Gunter for the IC title? At this point, I'm still kind of thinking Damien, because it might be your only option. Richard, quite rightly, Nick Hausman. KJ says, according to one WWE source, before we go into it, thank you, KJ. I appreciate you going out for the actual quote there. I do appreciate that. That is a bit of poor preparation on my part, and I thank you very much for compensating for me on that regard. You compensated for something. Me, you compensated for me. Appreciate you. KJ says, according to one WWE source, they feel it is a safe bet that CM Punk will be at WWE Survivor Series, and says, as regards the quote from Nick Hausman, it's a weird quote. Jonathan, chance for CM Punk. How he agrees with Razar, and I like that. I like that. I like that every now and then I'm seeing conversations between people now, like about the F1 or agreeing and disagreeing about certain things. That helps the chat rate. I'm never going to be annoyed if you literally talk amongst yourselves. That genuinely helps the chat rate, and I can just skip past them because I can pretty easily tell that you're talking to someone else. I would be a very good wrestling commentator, and I say that because I read what you're saying while actively talking about the news so that I can keep up. I'm very proud of it. Roger says, according to BWE, there is a 75% chance that Ricky Starks leaves AEW and joins WWE unless something happens. WWE is reportedly interested. Thank you, Roger. Let's rip the hell out of that report. There is a 75% chance. So they're not reporting he's going to leave AEW and join WWE. They're reporting there is a chance. They've even given it a percentage, which is not possible, because you literally can't know that. So one, they've not reported that he's joining WWE. They've then said, unless something happens, which basically says, well, plans might change, he might not join WWE. They've then said WWE is reportedly interested, making it clear that they're not saying WWE are interested, just that other people have reported that WWE might be interested. 3 times in that report, they covered their own back. That is BWE. King Azza says, when do you see Cody moving to SmackDown? I don't even know at this point. I think they're hedging their bets and just trying to keep him. Jonathan says, my gut tells me CM Punk will be back in the WWE by the latest Royal Rumble. What does your gut say, Tom? My gut says he won't be, but that's literally my gut. Brad says, do you think if Punk returns, stipulations need to be attached to that return? I don't think he should return at all. I think he's a massive flight risk, as I've mentioned previously, and I don't think anyone should trust him to be reliable. It's my personal opinion. King Azza says, don't want Punk back, he would be a cancer in the locker room. A lot of people would not want to work with him. Dad says, who do you see after Luchasaurus? Adam Copeland will go after. Basically everyone else on Christian's payroll. Spider-Boss says, I think Rhea Ripley will be the only member from Judgment Day who will keep holding gold by next year. I think one of them will actually win gold next year, and it is exactly the one you think it is. Michael says, I can't imagine what WWE would do anything, that WWE would do anything with Ricky. They don't do people his size. Debatable. There have been pushes for AJ Styles, for Seth Rollins, for Daniel Bryan, for Finn Balor. People have had opportunities. I just don't think they've been particularly good opportunities. Gotcha, KJ. Appreciate that. But honestly, you're helping me. I don't know what you mean by I didn't mean anything. I appreciate that you did that. That helps me. I always prefer to have the actual quote, but I don't always have the full time required to prepare. Hello, Rob and Dave. How are you doing? We did talk in the first 4 minutes about Randy Orton, and then about 20 minutes in, we launched into CM Punk. So if you want to skip back and catch up on those, by all means do so. We will reiterate the news as we go through. Mick Moon says, bringing in the exact quote. Thank you, Mick. We at Zero News were told today Jey Uso will be traded back to SmackDown as early as February 2024. Write that down. Write that down. I am planning, by the way, to start a spreadsheet. A spreadsheet in which we write down who reported it, what the report was, the date it was reported, and whether it was true. We then put another bit of who confirmed it. And then using that spreadsheet, we can work out a percentage accuracy for each wrestling media outlet. I would like that. And I think there are certain people in this community who could also really help with that. There's definitely a few that could feed into the Discord newsroom and really help. Bailey says, of all this mindless talk about CM Punk, where is the mindless talk of AJ Lee arriving as well? I've seen a bit of it, but I think, unfortunately, people who really go for CM Punk aren't necessarily that interested. Juan says, would Mercedes Money be a good part-time AEW Women's Champion? I don't think they have a choice. I think it's going to happen. Howie says, agreed. His record show it, guys. Tom is right. Appreciate that, Howie. Eric says, BW is in danger of becoming Zero News the way he reported on Ricky Starks. Do something for me. Prove to me that it's not the same person. Just prove to me that it's not exactly the same person running both BWE and Zero News. And confirming each other's reports. Razar says, I remember when everyone thought The Rock would show up at Survivor Series 2021 based on rumours. I think the same thing is about to happen this year with Punk. And he says, if Punk ends up back in WWE, zero tolerance has to be one of the contract stipulations. Joey's asking about the DIY reunion. I will be getting to that, I promise you. One says, Edge only drew 800k for AW. I'll be getting to that as well. Jordan loves the spreadsheet idea. Does anyone else like the idea of the spreadsheet and keeping track like that so you can literally work out a percentage of accurate reports? If you do like the idea, let me know. The whole point of that would be actually making the spreadsheet public but uneditable so that you can actually fact check my fact check. Howie says, my God, this takes me back in the younger days when we did just what you're doing now. Thank you for doing this live and allowing opinions and communication. Absolutely, Howie. I appreciate you saying that. I'm just trying to present an arena in which we can just openly share our thoughts and our opinions. And it's been very good to me. I've met a lot of very good people. Custom May says, have you ever thought about managing a tag team? I think you do a tremendous job. I came this close to actually managing a small faction in a local, like a very small local wrestling promotion. This close. I even actually worked out what my entrance music would be. I'll let you guys guess first, and then I'll tell you what my entrance music would be. We made the deal. The deal is in place. Spider-Boss says, with the exception of Becky and Liv and Shayna and Zoe, Raw's women's division is all about big meaty girls slapping meat. To be fair, that's 4 options outside of that can work. Brad, as regards BWE and Zero, says, I can't, they're faceless accounts. And Camo says, BWE boozer wrestling. Yes, it is. Howie says, my God, this takes me back in my younger... I've already read that one. Zane says, why did AEW not fire Jungle Boy? Several reasons. Firstly, he's suspended pending investigation, meaning they haven't decided if they're going to fire him or not yet. And secondly, it's not exactly like he does this every week. Okay, as regards to spreadsheet, Brad loves it. Michael says the idea is fantastic. Daz says, I do. Juan says, yes, love it. David Leary says, yes. Howie loves the spreadsheet idea as well. Spider-Boss as well, loving that idea. Fantastic. I don't have enough time to really delve too deeply into it, but I can backfill it using, for example, the Cage Side Seats rumour roundup. So we can do things like that. King Azar, I will be talking about John Cena and Roman Reigns. KJ says, Tom, can you confirm the conversations between WWE and Punk? I cannot. All I've been told is that the WWE, particularly Triple H, is not interested. That doesn't mean they're not at some point going to change their mind, but right now, nothing. Joey says, do you think BWE and Zero News are the same person, or are they working together? Don't know. Absolutely don't know. But nobody can prove one way or the other. Marcel loves it as well. Razar Cena will not be sticking around past Crown Jewel. In fact, I believe the only person so far who actually reported until today that it would be at Crown Jewel is myself. Mick Moon says, the internal belief is that one way or another the main event of WrestleMania 42 will likely end up being Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes. Mick Moon, I'm going to ask you to provide your source for that. If you're talking about the internal belief, I assume you have an in, and if so, let us know what it is. Pete says, your entrance music is Island in the Stream. Spider-Boss says, it would be cool to see more of Rhea Ripley without Dominic. Rhea alone is great. There are 2 Rhea Ripleys. There is Judgment Day Rhea Ripley. There is World Champion Rhea Ripley. Dom says, William Regal's theme would fit you perfectly as a heel manager. Rob says, Tom, how would you feel if Roman retains at Mania 40? Depends who it's against. Probably pretty happy. Eric says, the spreadsheet is well needed. Thank you, Mick, for sourcing that. Appreciate it. It was not Santino's theme. Wiggly's entrance theme would be the Looney Tunes music. Bailey says, who thought that rehiring Matt Riddle would be almost as toxic as rehiring Velveteen Dream? Jordan gives a thumbs up and says, the most well-informed chat in wrestling. Thanks for creating this community. Tom, you're very welcome, Jordan. I appreciate that praise. And Zane says, your theme music was going to be Technotronic Pump Up the Jam. So I've heard that. A lot of you might not know this one. He's a man, William Regal. Nice, Brad. A lot of you might not know this song, and I suspect it's about to get a boost on YouTube. It's by Nightwish, and it's called Master Passion Greed. Later, this was changed to a song called Bury the Light. If I was going to make an entrance and work in wrestling now, it would be Bury the Light, which is a theme from Devil May Cry 5, the theme of Virgil, a character that I really enjoy the work of. Mick Moon, bringing it once again from Zero News, thank you for sourcing, says there's currently a big push within WWE to have LA Knight potentially win the Royal Rumble match in January. So once again, they're not reporting that he will win the Royal Rumble. They're saying there is currently a big push. Potentially win. I believe they were also reporting that he was going to win the Money in the Bank. Barry says, hello, I'm here to ruin the most informed chat level. Appreciate you. Blue likes Devil Trigger. I also quite like it. Very similar themes. I get what you're saying. Next up, because I see the question about Matt Riddle, let's talk about Matt Riddle. One of the reasons Matt Riddle was let go by the WWE is that they simply did not trust him. I am essentially getting a few more reports as they come in, getting a bit more information, but he was originally paired up with Randy Orton with the idea that in the pairing with Randy Orton would keep an eye on him and keep him out of trouble. Randy Orton being injured meant that the WWE essentially abandoned Matt Riddle, refused to let him work on the basis that they didn't trust him. He's recently been paired up with Drew McIntyre because Drew McIntyre was supposed to keep an eye on him. The point at which they realised that Randy Orton might not be returning, when they essentially decided not to renew Edge's contract, when they decided that what they planned to do is listen to the doctors a bit more keenly and refuse to let seriously injured wrestlers return, also spelled the end for Matt Riddle. They essentially decided when they made that decision for Randy Orton that Matt Riddle was of no further value to them. Matt Riddle considered untrustworthy the McRiddle tag team, which I've heard about but do not in any way believe was actually going to happen. The name. It may have been pitched by Matt Riddle, but WWE were not planning anything long term. Drew McIntyre was just going to be travelling with Matt Riddle and keeping an eye on him. Drew McIntyre, as I reported previously, was going to be returning, wrestling Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship at SummerSlam, and then turning heel to wrestle Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins, etc. Eric seems to quite enjoy that one. Nice to see. Mick says it's believed Jimmy and Jay will have an altercation in the Royal Rumble match, leading to Jay being traded back to the Blue Brand. Zero. You're bringing all the zero news, mate. Are you actually just looking through the Twitter feed? Because I get it. No worries, Howie. Joey says, who do you think faces Roman at Crown Jewel? I see people thinking it's going to be LA Knight or Cena. Let's jump in on that. Dave Meltzer has reported that it looks like we will be seeing a match between John Cena and Roman Reigns at Crown Jewel. To be clear, the Wrestling Observer and, of course, Dave Meltzer have not reported that it will be Roman Reigns versus John Cena. He's simply looking at the storylines and saying, yeah, I think this is going to happen, and people are running with it as a report. This is one of the reasons I say Dave Meltzer is genuinely the most misquoted person in wrestling media, but he does get a hell of a lot of traffic because of those misquotes. I still personally think AJ Styles will have a lot to say about this when Roman returns in a couple of weeks, or in fact in 1 week. We'll see how that goes. But John Cena will be wrestling at Crown Jewel. Personally, I'm fully aware that he's requested to work Solo Sikoa. I think both those matches will happen. AJ versus Roman, Solo versus John Cena, but it really does depend what happens next. The Writers Guild of America strike has ended. John Cena will be going back to work after Crown Jewel. Michael says, Wrestling Observer News reporting that Maria May will be joining AEW and could be in a stable with Tony. Appreciate the massive capital could, because they're not reporting, but they are saying it could happen. As regards Maria May, I should say, a week ago I did report that, so I appreciate you bringing in the confirmation, Michael. Wiggly, yes indeed, I am reporting that is a distinct concern right now. Eric says Nick can't save Drew McIntyre. Nope. Drew McIntyre is someone that the WWE desperately want to keep. They've been releasing people to try and offer him more money, but what he wants is championships. Bailey says, any news report that contains the words could, looks like, or we think that, should be immediately discounted. I'm always very careful with how I report things. I do sometimes report things that say, like, it looks like this is going to happen. That's called speculation. This could happen. That might be there's a creative team of pitching something, but I'll make that clear. The creative team are pitching this storyline. The creative team are putting together a package of pitches for Randy Orton. However, Randy Orton may not be returning. The WWE right now are reconsidering their position as regards returning wrestlers from serious injury. I try and lay things out in layers, so it's very clear what I know, what I think, and what the end result could be as an end result of it. Kevin Nash has been confirmed to have signed a new deal with the WWE. The idea seems to be, he reported this himself, that it might be for wrestling. It's not. The new contract is for a likeness deal that allows the WWE to use the likeness of Kevin Nash and branding which he owns, partly for the NWO, when it comes to WWE. It also allows them, as part of Shawn Michaels' contract as well, to use Too Sweet and engage in cease and desist orders with New Japan that prevent them from being able to use it. So it's a likeness deal and it is a copyright deal, nothing beyond that. Blue says the Screen Actors Guild strike is still going but should be over soon. Correct, Blue, thank you. I don't know if I misspoke there. If I did, thank you for clarifying. Hello, Charlie, how you doing, mate? Joey says, did Triple H have a say in Matt Riddle's firing too? Nope. Triple H has had no say in any of the firings that have happened in the WWE. No say whatsoever. Mick Moon says, WWE source disputes Hulk Hogan's WrestleMania 39 match claim, Hogan versus Shane. That's via House of Wrestling. Thank you, Mick Moon. I also have it right here that there were no plans whatsoever for Hulk Hogan to arrive at WrestleMania 39. It is a complete lie. He has made it up. There is no reason to believe in any way, shape or form that anything like this was actually going to happen. Hulk Hogan has not said anything that is true about WrestleMania, 39. That's that. Two more pieces of news as regards DIY and the blocking of Johnny Gargano's return until now, and Edge, AEW and WWE. But there is one thing I quickly want to touch on. For those of you who did see the CM Punk video on Sunday, I am extremely proud of that video, and it's had about 2,600 views so far. It's doing absolutely fantastic. It has also gone out to 80% of the people who watched it are not subscribed, which means of that, say 2,500, let's say that for ease of it, 2,000 people who watched it have not subscribed. Now, that's a very good thing. It means that those 2,000 people, if they watched it all the way through at least, are likely to see the next video that I put out and make a decision then as to whether or not they want to stick around. You don't necessarily need followers as much as you need viewers. If I had 10,000 people watching but only 1,000 subscribers, I'm happy with that. I can still monetize over 1,000 subscribers, and it doesn't matter how many subscribers you have, it matters how many people are watching. With this in mind, though, the style was very well received. The style was incredibly well received. So I want to continue to create videos of that style. I have a couple of ideas for different discussion topics that I could dive into in that mold. So I've got the hiring from AEW of Cody Rhodes and Jade Cargill, and how that may be directly impacting AEW. So it would basically be me breaking down how they were hired, the reporting on the hiring, how that was used and essentially weaponized against AEW. So that is the Cody Rhodes and Jade Cargill hiring. I could also put together a video on Sasha Banks, now Mercedes Money, why she left the WWE, what happened in that time, the different reports about it, and what led her to signing now with AEW. So either have Cody Rhodes and Jade Cargill, Sasha Banks, or where is Randy Orton? So the Randy Orton video would be essentially breaking down the reporting as regards Randy Orton, the reporting on the injury that he received and how in the dark we all are about it, but how even though we're all in the dark about his injury, suddenly everybody knew he'd be turning up at Money in the Bank this year. And then he didn't. So I've got that. So we've got Cody Rhodes and Jade Cargill, Sasha Banks leaving, where is Randy Orton? Would also then go into what I've just spoken about earlier. Don't go in order just yet, Bailey, because there's more. Don't go in order just yet. So, I could also really go in on wrestling media. Let's say, for example, I did a video entitled, Why I Don't Trust Ringside News. And I presented for you a whole load of reports made by Ringside News that are not true, a whole load of reports made by Ringside News that are extremely damaging, a whole load of misquotes, including of myself, and then details about the owner and his general response and the meltdowns that he has had. So I could do that, Why I Don't Trust Ringside News, and that then opens us up to a bit of a series. For example, Why I Don't Trust Zero News. The benefit of this is if I put it on Twitter, I would just tag Ringside News and Zero News in it, and I wouldn't need to do any marketing. They'd do it for me. There's more. For example, Wrestle Features, they would be in the Ringside News category, and there's a reason for this. One of the main things that actually made Ringside News explode onto the scene is the sale of a very large account on Twitter, Pro Wrestling Mag. Pro Wrestling Mag was led by someone called Brad Preston, who now runs Wrestle Features. And I'm led to believe that it was sold to Ringside News, and it then acted as a massive signal boost, which put them onto the map. So that would play into it. Just a lot going on there. So those are some of the pitches. Let me know what you think I should focus on starting on Sunday. Okay? Mick Moon, appreciate that, thank you. We're getting into that soon, Joey. Wiggly says, Hogan's been claiming for years he's having a retirement match. It's not going to happen. Thank you, Mick. Charlie says, still going to watch the stream? Yeah, absolutely, mate. Join us. Brad suggests Cody and Jade should be first. Bailey wants Sasha, then Jade and Cody, then Randy. LF says, hi, Tom. Hope you're well. Thank you, LF. Welcome to the show. We currently have 77 viewers, 57 likes. 3 more gets us to 60. If we can get that, I'd be very appreciative. Eric says, Cody Rhodes and Jade Cargill video would be nice. Wiggly says we should do an article entitled Why WrestleLamia is Really Lame. Honestly, I don't know much about them. I would need to continue doing the research, but a large part of this is doing the research, and I will likely be setting up a Discord room where we would just be diving in and researching this stuff. I just think it'd be very entertaining. Spider-Boss says, a lot was said about Mercedes after she left WWE last year. You've been given the most accurate news about Mercedes. Thank you. I try my best on that one. And I do feel that's something that we could really highlight when we get to the Sasha Banks video / Mercedes. Eric says, hello, Tom. A bit late. Could you do a brief recap of the news you already reported? Yes, Eric. I reported on Randy Orton potentially not being cleared by the WWE because they're being more strict with the doctors that they use. Matt Riddle and the untrustworthiness that was hounding him in WWE. The reason Kevin Nash has signed a new deal. More on Cena, Reigns and Meltzer. A bit on CM Punk and Hogan lying. LF says there seems to be conflicting reports of Roman's opponent in Saudi Arabia. Any word from yourself? Yes, I dove into that one about 10 minutes ago. By all means, zip back. What I have just been reminded about is WWE sold to Saudi. A very bad time to be in wrestling media. Very bad time. Brad suggests why I don't trust Ringside News. Also, it's the fact that I'm saying why I don't trust. So while they would go nuts, they can't actually do anything about it. Thomas says, hi Tom, sorry I haven't been in the live streams recently, we've had lots on at the moment. Always stay up to date with your vids. Appreciate that, Thomas, thank you very kindly. And I can see you're still a channel member, which I very much appreciate. Spider-Boss said, I'd love to know more what happened with Mercedes after she left WWE last year. Jordan suggests a media outlet idea. Wiggly says, WrestleLamia breaks earth-shattering news. The reason Becky Lynch speaks with an Irish accent is because she's from Ireland. Boss Pedal says, Zero News is very easy to bait with fake news. They reported several things a Reddit Squared Circle moderator told them that were deliberately untrue. Matthew says, love them all. Cody and Jade first. David's voting for the media outlet one. Interesting. Adam says, hey Tom, do you know SmackDown spoiler lineup for tonight? Spoilers? No, I intentionally do not get spoilers. Joey says, do you have any news on the AEW NXT ratings war? Yep, still got a little bit to touch on that. Eric says, is Jade set to be a Fastlane? Jade's been in a number of WWE shows and will likely be backstage. Yes. And Michael says, it blows my mind how much Zero News is still quoted despite being proven wrong so many times. People literally do not care. They just want to know first, and they couldn't care less. Steve, welcome, says Colohue. Hope you're doing well, lad. Welcome, mate. Good to see you. And the user says, you're the one I trusted with Cody returning. Please say you've got some good news about Punk. I do. WWE still aren't interested. The user, if you haven't seen it yet, the video I uploaded on Sunday answers a lot of questions that people have had about CM Punk, and I'm extremely proud of that video. I'm just going to grab a link to it because, as I say, I'm extremely proud about it, and I just want to sort of share it. It's a big one. It's a big one. So just go and grab it. 2,500 views so far. I'm going to copy the link and drop it in the YouTube, and I'll also drop it in the Twitch for anyone who wants to watch it there. Of course, if you haven't subscribed yet to the YouTube, please do consider doing so. It does guarantee that you'll get notifications when we go live, and that is going to be a big help in helping us grow, and that means me getting more news. Eddie says, hi Tom, how many percent on the... Nope. Why would I talk in percents? That would be a complete guess, and you know it. Thomas says, is there any truth to the CM Punk rumours, or is it just rumours? Rumours. Daniela says, DIY tag title run, or maybe Ciampa joins the way with Johnny, Candice, Indy and Dexter. The way need to reunite. Meg Moon says, WWE sources told Fightful that if CM Punk were to return, there are fences that need mending with Roman Reigns, among others, from Fightful 3 minutes ago. Thank you, Mick. Appreciate that. Hope you feel better soon, Wiggly. Hope you feel better soon. Eric says, Tom, do you like Chucky? No. Horror movies don't do anything for me. Adam says, Wrestling Observer News confirmed your report about CM Punk being interested in a WWE return. And sorry, I keep changing my name. It's a habit. Well, I appreciate that. I would love it if they would mention me by name. But I'm sure it's one of those that eventually it kind of comes down to you guys. Like, I can sing my own praises, but that just comes across immature. But of course, as I mentioned before, if you guys mention stuff like this, I will be retweeting you. It's been popping up under things like WrestlePurist recently, and I really do appreciate that. So when you see people reporting, Wrestling Observer reports, if you can add my name underneath in the replies, say that it was reported first by @Colohue, then maybe drop a link to a stream. I'd be very grateful, and I will definitely retweet you. I have not wiggly. I've seen enough depressing films in my life. Thomas says, any news on AOP? Well, if they were signed, they certainly wouldn't be now. Noob says, I enjoyed watching Welcome to Wrexham. Fun documentary show. Watched the first season. I'm waiting for the second season to be a bit more fleshed out. So, two things left to mention. Firstly, it was indeed Vince McMahon who cancelled the reunion of The Way back in June 19th. Johnny Gargano was set to challenge Seth Rollins for a shot at the World Heavyweight Championship. This did not come to pass because Vince McMahon decided that Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa would have supported Johnny Gargano after this. He decided that they weren't big enough for that spot. Now that Vince McMahon is not directly involved, it comes down to Triple H. Triple H has decided that they are big enough for that spot. And finally, WWE versus AEW. With Edge arriving in AEW, AEW are really pushing his return. Again, he's not returning, he's debuting. Are really pushing his use on AEW Dynamite this upcoming week on Tuesday. Now, when it comes to AEW Dynamite, they are currently in a bit of a spiral and they are struggling with their ratings. A lot of people are very disappointed with how the ratings are playing out. The WWE have decided that given that they were beaten into submission by AEW Dynamite, it's time to remind them that WWE are the top dog, so they are doing so. And wow, is it big numbers. The WWE, of course, planned this before realising that Edge has not so far proven to be a draw for AEW. We'll wait and see how it actually plays out. I won't be making rash judgments. I'll give him a couple of months first to see the indent. But the loss of CM Punk has hit AEW hard. Wiggly, I do remember that. Then So Be It was always a good moment. Eric says, are you pro or con main roster coming to NXT? Pro. They're trying to get a TV deal which is worth a lot of money, and if it's worth a lot of money, then what's going to happen is they don't have to fire so many people. Thank you, Adam. Appreciate that. Kieran says, I want Punk to return just to see what his first promo would be. Fair. Brad says, I can confirm that Tom retweets and likes mentions. I do. If my Twitter feed is full of people telling other people how great I am, that looks fantastic. It's just business. Andrew says, hello Tom, hope you had a nice day and enjoying your night. I understand your DM message, more speculation, I won't get my hopes up yet, but you're the best journo to announce anything. Thank you Andrew, appreciate you dropping in as well. Thomas says, worrying for AW that Edge's debut Dynamite drew 800,000 views compared to NXT drawing 857,000. Imagine how much worse this will be next week. They are intending, by the by, to not make this a 1 week thing. They are trying to guarantee high ratings for a long period. They want more than 1 million, and if they get more than 1 million regularly, they can look at AW Dynamite and say, hey, you're paying this much for them, and we get more viewers. That's the point they're trying to make. Blue says, I was live at Edge's first Dynamite. He got the loudest reaction, but it honestly didn't feel super special, especially after seeing him for the last few years on WWE TV. Yeah, it's not the same as Punk in any way, shape, or form. Also, I do feel we burned through most of the options in his time in WWE. Joey says, if WWE keeps doing big ratings against AEW, do you think it's a good sign for the TV deal? Yes, I do. Blue says, the only reason I want Punk back is a chance to see AJ again, top 10 all-time fave. KJ says, Tom, if you don't mind, I'll send you this SRS report on Punk. Too much to send in here. Appreciate that, and by all means do so. I know you've been sending me quite a bit recently, and I appreciate it. David says, does WWE consider NXT a third brand or still developmental? Triple H has always considered NXT the third brand. I asked him that question myself after NXT UK TakeOver Cardiff. Danielle says they've been teasing Brian Pillman Jr. on NXT apparently. This is true and is him. When could he debut in NXT officially? When they have a storyline for him. C-Max says, how long do you think it'll be till we see Wardlow again? Too long. And Adam says, hey Tom, according to BWE. And then I move on. Blue says, thanks for another great spoiler warning, Tom. You're the best. You're welcome, Blue. Appreciate that. Spider-Boss says, if it's about boosting ratings for Dynamite, I think the debut of Mercedes would help a little bit. It would. But as she's going to be part-time, they don't want to use all her dates immediately. Michael says, PWInsider is reporting Mark Briscoe is back in the ring training for his comeback. Spider-Boss says, main roster talent has helped a lot to NXT ratings, especially Becky, also Dominic, Baron Corbin, Mustafa Ali, etc. Michael says, Wardlow was on Dynamite 2 days ago. I hope that answers your question, C-Mac. You will more likely see Wardlow if you're watching. Thank you, Michael. Appreciate the clarification. Fresh says, will the WWE make a fourth brand? They already did. It was called NXT UK. And Daniela says, thank you for the stream, Tom. So, we are going to wrap it up there. That is all of the news, and we're very close to the full hour, so I won't go any further. In just over 2 hours, we will be live for a SmackDown watch party. Please do join us there. There are a lot of fun shows, and they really do make SmackDown quite enjoyable in their own right as well. Until then, though, I'll be leaving it there, saying a massive thank you to all of you. As usual, I've been Tom Colohue, you've been fantastic, and I'll see you all very soon.